Today we are going to discuss how to learn NLP more effectively and faster, and more generally how to learn anything, or how does mastery happens into your life, into your brain. How does that shape itself, and how to be more reassured about the time it's gonna take, even if you may feel like it is struggling right now, you're not making progress, or at least you don't think you are making progress. This is actually just a bias of the human mind, and we are going to dig into this right now. So people struggle for how long it is going to take to master NLP, building their business, or anything they want to do. And usually people are very excited when they first start to do something. They are very motivated about the people they have been seeing doing this before them, but they have a few mistakes, or they have a few pitfalls happening within the first few months, and then they stop, or they over-intellectualize and they get discouraged because they don't think they are going to achieve the level they have projected in the beginning when they started. And another bias of this loss of motivation is that if something has been really struggling the first 6 months, let's say you have been struggling with understanding this hypnosis book or whatever you are learning, that those struggles will keep being maintained the whole time. That if you have been struggling, if you need a lot of actions, a lot of efforts just to get a small result, then it's always going to be massive efforts and draining, difficult tasks until you get what you want, which is not true. And the second bias is to look at people who are 10 years ahead of you and to notice that when they do it, it looks like they're doing nothing. When you see a martial artist beating up somebody in the cage or on the ring, sometimes you feel like, it looks like they are barely doing anything. They are barely moving and doing this and that, and boom, they have won. So this is the graph I wanted to outline here. Basically, when you start something new, when you start, you are really motivated, and then the motivation fades away. But what happens to your progress is that this red here, the red color, symbolizes the results you are getting. If you are building a business, then the result is money. If you are learning NLP skills and how to influence people, then the result is, do people change when you speak to them, or do people give you the response you were looking for when you started interacting with them? And the blue one is all the actions you have to take, all the people you have to talk to, all the things you have to do, all the tasks you have to complete in your business, basically all the efforts and the actions you have to take. So in the very beginning, obviously you are putting out a lot of effort, you are putting out a lot of output of actions, and you are getting extremely small results. That is completely normal. Or maybe with the beginner's luck, the very first time you try something, you may be lucky and get one good result, but then quickly it fades away, and you get pretty much in this frame right here where you do a lot and you're not getting much. Then as time goes by, actually the problem is most people stop just right here. They are all there. After 3 months, they are still like here, and they're like, oh yeah, it's never gonna work. Actually, what's happening is that people who have already mastered the thing you are learning right now, they are there, and I can testify of this with NLP for myself. If I get somebody in a session and I have to use NLP or covert hypnosis to make them change, the least thing I say is just making them change immensely, even after just 15-20 minutes. But why is that so? I came through this whole learning curve, this whole time frame, and the reason this happens right here for NLP specifically is because, for example, calibration skills, just how many clues you are noticing from the person in front of you. When you get at this level with NLP specifically, what has been happening the whole time, as you have had more conversations and more educating yourself on what does it mean when somebody have this belief, when somebody have this trauma, how to use this language pattern, how to use the switch pattern, how to use anchoring, you are going to build up your resource knowledge, your resource experiences for how does the human mind works. Arrived at this point, you already know what the person is about, what the problem is about, when the client in front of you just say one sentence, and you have already figured out like 80% of the problem. not because that person, you already know them, but because you have already seen like 100 people who had very, very similar problems, or in yourself, if you have been working on yourself, you have noticed how many times a fear is actually based on this mental strategy where first you see an image and then you have a sensation, a gut feeling that is uncomfortable. All those small experiences, they accumulate, and at this point you just see one person, you already know what they think, you pretty much already know what they feel, and you know what to say to make them feel better. Specifically with NLP, that's what happens. Another curious factor is that the momentum builds so much that in the beginning you need an insane amount of motivation and willpower to actually get a few results, but down the road, since it becomes so easy, even just when you are there, for example, those efforts right here, they almost don't seem anymore like efforts. They seem easy, because you have accumulated so much experience that you know how to do so many small skills, smaller steps in the process, that it doesn't require so much willpower and struggle to actually do the thing that is going to bring you the results. The other analogy I may have with building a business, for example, I was frustrated in the beginning when seeing this marketer or that marketer who was just publishing one course or publishing one book and hitting thousands of dollars right away. And yes, but what I wasn't seeing in the beginning is the audience they have developed and the skills to understand their audience that they have accumulated for years and years and years, and arrived at this point after several years, just publishing one ebook, and they make $10,000, $15,000 with just one ebook, one stupid course, one simple video. Yes, but they get there at this level because all of that happened before. It's never happening right away. So people who are masters and have been mastering something at this point right here on the end of the time frame, obviously it seems like they are just doing one small thing and they get massive results. Yes, but they get massive results because of all the things they have accumulated, all the knowledge, the experiences, the intuitive understanding of the system they have at hand. If the system is a business, understanding the business. If the system is the conversation you have with the client with NLP skills or hypnosis skills, then the understanding of how conversations work, how the hypnotic conversation takes place in the mind of the person listening to you. And another example is fighting sports and martial arts, since I have been into this also. When you see a very advanced master, for example, against somebody who is less advanced, it looks like they are barely doing anything. They are barely making one punch and boom, it's done, the other guy falls asleep. Yeah, but because those guys have been accumulating so many experiences in reading the opponent, in reading their movements, their breathing pattern, their eye contact, where do they look at, when do they get tired, what makes them lose confidence. All of those small things are things you accumulate down the road. So during this whole process, it may seem like you're not making progress, but actually what you're doing is accumulating the foundation. You are building the hidden part of the iceberg. That's what you are doing when you think you're not making progress. You are building up the hidden part of the iceberg. You are building up the foundation of the massive skyscraper. And when the foundation is really strong, then you can build super high and you can build faster. But if the foundation is not strong and built up enough, then you may try to get into the kind of situation you would be getting into here. But if your level of actions and efforts is still there, you need to make so much, actually the results you are expecting here are not going to happen, because the results here are based on many smaller intuitive skills you are not really seeing when you watch an expert or an advanced person doing what they do, because you haven't been with them the whole time they have been practicing, and you don't have yet the understanding of what specifically it is that they are doing. You may generalize it to, oh yeah, they are speaking like this. Yeah, they are speaking like this and they are doing 1,000 other things you're not really understanding because you're not as advanced as they are. And that is also the downside of many experts, because when experts start to teach what they know, or like when they try to explain what they know, some of them have a lot of trouble to remember consciously all the things they have done during all those time periods, during all those moments where they have been taking massive action. Since all the first months or first years are usually bringing very small results, we tend to have this bias of dismissing all those things we have done, saying, oh yeah, those things I have done them, but they don't work. Actually, yes, they do work, but they work at the level you were at when you did them in the beginning. If you do the exact same things after having arrived at this level of skills, then those same things that didn't work back then, if you do them again here, they're gonna work, because now you don't have the same intuition, you don't have the same clever understanding, the same creativity, the same motivation skills, anything that you need to build up the whole time. It is going to arrive at such a threshold of immense power once you are here that just a very slight effort on your side is going to bring either massive results, massive money, massive whatever you want. It only happens, obviously, if you are consistent. If you do one thing for 1 month and then stop and come back to it 5 years later, you're not really making any progress that way. This is all about being consistent, and it does work, and I can assure you when you get there, it seems super easy. So you don't need to struggle anymore, you're not scared or pressured anymore, you don't have anxiety anymore, it is just super easy. Get there by practicing more and more often, that's my best advice.